Hello everyone, this is John from Western Maine Defensive Tactics. Today we're going to talk about guns for carry and my priorities in choosing a carry gun. Now, like most people who carry weapons, my primary concern is defending myself and my family against attack. But there's other factors that I use that also influence my choices for carry guns, and they are utility and survival. By utility, what I mean is, well, we live on a rural piece of property, we have animals on it, and several times a year it occurs that I have to eliminate a pest or predator that preys on those animals, and there's never enough time to run to the truck or the house for a rifle or a shotgun, so I end up taking care of it with the pistol that's on my person anyway. Makes sense. By survival, that's a variety of things, but that's things like signaling, small and medium game hunting, that sort of thing. And if you argued that a self-defense situation was a survival situation, I would probably agree with you. But my priorities for choosing a carry gun are 5. 1. Reliability. The gun has to go bang when I pull the trigger. And fortunately, we're in the year of our Lord 2014, and most good manufacturers have usually one or more models that have been around a while, been tested, and are very reliable pretty much out of the box. There are other factors that go into reliability. We're going to get into them a little bit later. But if you buy a quality weapon, a good model, by a good manufacturer, you're pretty much guaranteed to get a pretty reliable weapon. 2. Shootability. I like a gun that helps me do the jobs I need to do. We carry guns to help us hit various targets at various distances. One that doesn't help you do that, to me, is not worth carrying. Now, I can shoot about anything and hit reasonably well, but I like a gun that helps me hit well easily. And to that end, I like a solid, visible front sight and rear sight. I like a decent sight radius, i.e. the distance between the front and rear sight. I like a manageable trigger. That doesn't mean I like a lighter hair trigger, just one that is reasonably smooth, doesn't have a lot of stacking or grit, or has a lot of hang-ups and things like that, or camel hump, whatever you'd like to call it. Double action or with an automatic. I like a good manageable trigger, but not a hair trigger. I also like a full-size or nearly full-size grip. That's nothing earth-shattering. That's pretty basic handgun 101, but those are the guns I prefer to carry because I believe they're worth it. Okay, third priority, durability. I want a gun that can digest tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of rounds throughout its functional life. I like to shoot, I like to train, and I want a gun that is up to that task. Now, there are guns out there, usually smaller guns, that people like to carry because it's convenient. In my opinion, if you pick up and carry a small gun, you need to be, the smaller the gun, the smaller the caliber, the more of an expert you need to be in its use. Eye socket shots at 25 yards, that sort of thing. Because you have a small caliber and you need to make placement your mission in life. You need to be surgical with it. In order to do that, you need training and a lot of practice. And these guns, smaller guns, in my experience, aren't always up to the task of digesting many, many rounds in practice. And they suffer from premature wear because a lot of the internal parts are smaller and delicate and just not up to the task. I'm also not a fan of the philosophy of guns that are carried a lot and shot a little. I would rather have a gun that I can shoot as much as I like, clean it up, put it in the holster, and carry it. And I'm willing to deal with a little bit more weight and bulk to have that advantage, and I think it's worth it. Okay. Talked about durability. Ergonomics. Now, I separate ergonomics and shootability because I look at shootability as the factors that help me hit my targets. Ergonomics is basically gun handling and holster work and everything else. Now, for ergonomics for revolvers, I want a good dehorning all over the entire surface of the revolver. Particular attention paid to the rear of the hammer and the hammer spur, and the rear of the trigger. Also, on the cylinder, I'd like to have cylinder chamfers to aid me in reloading, and a black powder chamfer on the front of the cylinder to aid in reholstering. On an automatic pistol, I want the same dehorning that's done on the revolver, no sharp edges to gouge me up, and On the magazine release, I want a nice thumb-friendly, accessible magazine release that is easily manipulated with my thumb or my forefinger when I shoot left-handed. I also want a full-size or nearly full-size grip that helps me see the magazine without causing me to break my firing grip. Okay, I see nothing wrong with making modifications to your gun after proving it with a 500 rounds or so to make it more comfortable for you to shoot and help you reload faster, making it work for you. Granted, you can get used to any gun that you happen to pick up through repetition and training, and basically when you have no choice. But at the same time, hey, make your weapons fit you, that sort of thing. Okay, my final priority is longevity. I want a gun that's built for the long haul. I want an heirloom piece, an heirloom gun. A gun that is designed to be passed down from generation to generation after a generation of hard use. To that end, I much prefer Ruger double-action revolvers and Glocks for automatics. Both of these guns are easily end-user serviceable. I can break both, either design down to the last part. I can replace parts. I can do what I need to do to keep that gun running long-term. Neither is a delicate gun. And again, in my mind, it's worth the extra weight and a little bit of bulk to have that advantage. Okay, those are my 5 priorities. Now, there's another factor which, to my mind, is the major underlying factor to your success or failure with a handgun, and that is you. Your knowledge and skills with that gun play the biggest role in whether or not you're going to accomplish your mission with that gun. To that end, know your gun. Know every damn thing there is to know about it. Know what makes the weapon function. Know what makes it malfunction. Know how to clear those malfunctions. Know how to do the preventive maintenance that precludes those malfunctions from happening in the first place. Know how to field strip it. Give it a good cleaning. Know how to detail strip it and examine the parts for serviceability and function. Know how to replace those parts. If those parts require fitting, know how to fit them. In fact, I'd say to use a trick of if your gun is one of those guns, to use the trick of the competition shooters, and if you need to tune extractors and fit extractors, that sort of thing, have them done in advance, test fired, proven, and just stow a couple away at a handy place, just in case you need one. That kind of brings us into gunsmithing. Know how to do basic gunsmithing on your pistol. Now, I'm not talking half-assed kitchen table gunsmithing through ignorance and trial and error. I mean buying Neuhausen or other good shop manuals, reading them, knowing the gun, knowing what you're doing, buying proper tools and doing the job right. It'll save you money and add to your competence and confidence with that pistol over the long term. Alright. I also advocate having multiple magazines. Stock up on your magazines, speed loaders, any spare parts. All guns, even the Ruger, even the Glock, need spare parts. All guns have their weak points, their Achilles heels. Learn what they are and stock up on those parts, those needed items. Have enough. Once finances allow and you've got all this taken care of for one weapon, get a duplicate weapon. Same thing. Another model, just like the one you carry, set it up the same way as your carry gun so you have an instant spare. One weapon would one duplicate weapon would be a minimum. Do it 2 or 3 times as often as you can. Also learn how to select and or reload ammunition that your gun likes and functions well with. When you find a load or a round that it likes, buy a good supply of it. Stock it deep. If you apply yourself to this process with intelligence, you'll have a gun that functions for years. And honestly, it'll pretty much negate brand or type of gun that you bought. As long as you bought initial quality, it'll pretty much negate the differences in brand. It won't matter if it's a Springfield or a Glock or a car. It won't matter because you'll have the knowledge and intelligence and tools to support that system for decades. And honestly, if you look at, say, Handloader magazine, there's guys that are shooting 90 and 100-year-old pistols, automatics, revolvers, whatever, because they have the expertise to break that gun down to the last part, inspect the gun, make sure it's safe to shoot, make any repairs necessary, put it back together, and then load ammo for it, even if it's in an obsolete caliber. You go through the process I've just described, and you'll be able to do the same thing in 50, 60 years. Teach your children well, they'll be able to maintain that gun. Okay, we have knowledge, we've got supplies, we have our logistics squared away. The other key factor is skills. Definitely avail yourself to professional level handgun training. Yes, it costs money, yes, it takes time, but there's no replacement for it. Know how to hit targets from contact distance 25 to 50 to 75 or 100 yards and further. Know how to do it. It's not that difficult if you apply yourself. Know how to do efficient reloads. Know how to do safe and efficient holster work. Know when to apply sighted fire and unsighted fire or instinct shooting. Know it all. Have very high personal standards. Don't fall into the trap of, I guess what we call at work, lowest common denominator training. Don't just say, well, I'm only a civilian, I only need to be able to hit a 6-inch circle at 10 yards, that sort of thing. It's okay if my draw takes me 4 seconds. It's not. Master this weapon, whichever weapon you choose. Master it. Spend the time. Make an investment in yourself with the training and the practice. If you do that, any situation you face with that pistol, I'm willing to bet you're going to be very successful if you put in the work. Okay, something you're wondering about, or some of you might be wondering about, since I mentioned survival use for the pistol, I haven't mentioned calibers yet. Why am I not advocating for this caliber or that caliber and scroungeability? Well, I'll tell you, because it won't matter. It doesn't matter if you choose a 9mm, a 38, a 357, a 40, a 45, a 10mm. It doesn't matter. As long as you choose good quality, tested, defensive hollow point ammunition, they'll all work just fine. The deciding factor in a defensive encounter, as you already know, is going to be how you place those rounds. You need to put those rounds on target where they do you the most good. That's your skill. Caliber is irrelevant. And scroungeability, well, during an emergency, I think the scroungeability of ammunition is going to be very overrated, and if you prepare, it's going to be unnecessary. Don't rely on anybody else to supply you your ammunition. Think about it. This is 2014. For the last 2 or 3 years, we've had an ammo crunch, an ammo crisis, a lack of availability of ammunition, in some cases, handguns in general. Handgun ammunition have been scarce. .22 ammo in my area has been non-existent for about 3 years. For some of you that are new to shooting or younger, this is the first ammo crunch you've ever seen. We've had them before. Now, I remember on the Walmart shelf, the only 2 calibers were 44 Magnum and 357 SIG. The rest of the shelf was bare. Don't rely on anybody else. Choose good rounds, stock them deep. Keep your supplies in a couple of different locations. Not to say that somebody's going to kick in your door and steal it. That may happen, but house fires happen. Floods happen. Don't let some natural disaster or accident wipe out your ammo supply. Scroungeability, hey, we went through this ammo crisis. That was caused by fear, basically. Panic. The American people have been conditioned to be reaction machines, and the media does a really good job of playing us like little marionette puppets. We see something on the news where we have fear of what happens after this election, or what is Congress going to do after the tragedy at Sandy Hook. They're going to ban these weapons. I need to run right out there and buy whatever weapons and ammunition I can get my hands on. If I already own weapons, I need to run out and buy ammunition because they're going to ban ammunition or something scary like that. We don't tend, I know you are not like this, but many people tend to be reactive rather than proactive. I'm telling you, be proactive. Supply yourself with the ammunition that you need now. Have it on hand. Because, God forbid, I'm not one of these people that wishes for disasters, because we have enough ice storms up here to begin with. God forbid we have a widespread condition of civil unrest or something like that, or even just a widespread localized, like in the Northeast, a localized outbreak of civil unrest. There will be no ammunition available anywhere of any caliber. You'll be stuck with what you supplied yourself. That's the intelligent thing to do. Don't rely on scrounging anything. I just don't think there's going to be anything available. Speaking of shit hits the fan or situations like that, if you're really concerned with that as far as a survival method or strategy, think about what you'd want in various shit hits the fan situations as far as personal gear. What would you want on your person right now if the shit hits the fan? Make a decision and then make that stuff, all those items, your everyday carry gear. Because I don't think we're going to get a warning, hey, go home and put on your shit hits the fan outfit. You're going to have to deal with whatever situation occurs with what you have. You're going to have to run what you brought, however you're dressed. Make sure you dress accordingly. Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot for watching me prattle on for 20 minutes about this. If you've gotten this far, you deserve a medal. I appreciate you watching this. This video will serve as a base for the rest of the gun reviews I'm going to do. Now you know where I come from as far as mindset and purposes. So when I review the rest of the guns we're going to look at, you'll understand where I'm coming from. Thank you a lot for watching. I really appreciate it, and take care.